I've been into art my entire life, I guess. It's mostly just like a part of me. Like I can't remember a time in my life when I didn't have art. When I was a kid, I would like draw in like puddles and like use worms to make words. I was weird, and I'd like use crayons all the time. And I grew up in like a town where, as I grew up, my town like slowly added art, and so that's also been a part of my journey. So I feel like it'd be weird living where I live without art in it. I would define art as someone's interpretation of their surroundings or someone's like interpretation of their own being or soul. It's really just self-expression when you like get it down to the nit and gritty or whatever. It's just the way that someone sees something, like even if we're looking at the exact same thing, the exact same color, the exact same object, we're still seeing it in different manners and different mannerisms. So it's just the way that someone interprets everything around them, and none of it's a bad thing, which is the best thing about art. Self-expression is very much of like a person's soul. Like you can really see a lot, and you can tell a lot about a person by looking at their art, especially if it's true to themselves. And so being in a place that's so vulnerable, you know, like everyone here is creating. So one major thing for me that like it kind of clicked in that moment was at the beginning of class, one of our teachers, Susie, asked us to like get our sketchbooks out, and everyone was just like looking around. And you know, if like people were looking at me like back home, like me drawing, it'd like make me very insecure. But having other artists here that also express themselves the same way that I do, it made like it not as scary, I guess. So I feel like when it comes to judgment, you really don't have any here, and you aren't scared to create, and you aren't scared to fail, because like you realize that no one really cares, you know, like you fail and it's like, yay, you failed, you learned. And I think that's amazing, especially when you like, I come from a place where it's like, if you don't draw something exactly the way it looks, then you're just not an artist. But here, everyone's different, and everyone has their own style and their self-expression. And so like everyone's self-expression manifests in a different way, but there's no judgment on that manifestation. Judgment does scare me away from creating pieces, 100%. It's more of like, if I create this and people won't exactly understand what I'm trying to get across, or people will misinterpret it. But I guess that's like more of the point of art. You create it for yourself, but other people can see it in a different way. So being here has made me realize that like even though I'm creating something for me and it's like my self-expression, that doesn't mean that someone else's self-expression will see my expression in the same way, if that makes sense. So it's more of just being here made me realize that I shouldn't be scared of creating what I want to create, because one, it doesn't really matter what people think. Like if they don't like it, who cares? Like you had fun doing it, you enjoyed it. As long as you're not hurting anyone, like what does it matter? And also just like the experience of creating something and someone else being like, oh, it looks like this, and like you'd never even thought of that before. It makes me less scared to create, and I'm really hoping I take that back home with me so I can like feel free to draw whatever I want in the middle of class, like not being scared of what everyone else thinks of me.